Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 news. With Ferrari's 2023 cars upgrades uncertain as it stands, some further rumours as to what direction they will be going through, potentially going down a similar route to Red Bull, with stripping as much weight as they possibly can to make this the lightest car as they can make it. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Firstly, big update from the Alpine side, confirming their date of car reveal in 2023. We know that Ferrari are on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February. The Alpine, the A523, is going to be revealed on the 16th of February 2023. All of them around that date. Revealed in London, this one, and confirming and joining Alpha Tauri on the 11th of February, Aston Martin on the 13th, Ferrari on the 14th, and that is what we know so far. So 4 teams' reveal dates have now been confirmed. Quick update as well on the calendar for next year. We were meant to have 24 races next year. That's now down to 23 because China has been cancelled. That's official. Formula 1 tweeted out that China's been cancelled. It's a done deal. It's been known for some time. However, coincidentally, after that, they changed their policy on COVID and stuff like that, and therefore a return is now on the cards. Apparently, though, F1 has already reached an agreement with Portugal to add them to replace. This is where it's a little bit sketchy here for Formula 1 because it seems like China are now saying, hey, hang on a second here, guys. Yes, you cancelled our Grand Prix, but look, our policies now allow it to take place. So based on whatever contract they've got, maybe China going ahead is still what is written in the rules, as in what should happen in this case, given it actually can now take place probably with the protocols and the policies they now have in effect. Now, Portugal was one of the likely replacements. There was rumours about Istanbul Park, right, in Turkey replacing China, and there was some rumours as like, do we need to replace it in the first place? 22 races was quite a lot, 23 is an even more, and 24 is pretty outrageous, but nonetheless, we probably will see a replacement for it. They apparently reached an agreement with Portugal, Portimao, to add that to the Canada. I think that would be a great track to see. I also quite like the China Grand Prix track in Shanghai as well, so it'll be one of the two, but it can't be both of the two, and it might be none of the two, depending on what happens. So yeah, there's definitely a dilemma here for Formula 1 to deal with when China have now said, actually guys, we probably can run this Grand Prix, and you had the deal with us first, and now they're kind of maybe had a verbal agreement with Portugal to replace them, but it's far from guaranteed that will happen. Speaking of Ferrari, a Ferrari-powered team in Haas have changed their logo going forward, and their title name is now changed to the MoneyGram Haas F1 team. We saw this a couple of months ago, maybe now, that they'd signed a new deal. Now, this is pretty important as the budget gap is 140 odd million. We believe that Haas only have the money without this new title sponsor for about $110 million. That's a big difference, right, if you think about it. The top teams are paying, well, they used to be paying 400 million. Now they've got to pay 145 million, but still, Haas can't afford that. They're not even reaching the budget cap. So Haas are now, apparently with this new sponsorship deal, going to be able to at least hit the budget gap going forwards. That should allow them to be more competitive over the course of the season, bring as many upgrades as some of the other teams do around the midfield pack. So hopefully that can be the case. Doesn't mean though they've got to change their logo, or at least that's part of the deal, with the MoneyGram logo now appearing as part of the Haas logo. Works quite well really with the colour scheme here. It's not absolutely disgusting. It's not great, but nonetheless, if that's what they've got to do to be a competitive team, then I don't mind it. They of course got a pole this year in Brazil in remarkable circumstances. Maybe more to come from Haas. Let's talk Ferrari then and their car for next year. Firstly, they've got to gain some lap time back because the changes for next year will again slow the cars down. I think compared to what the FIA expected, the 2022 cars are actually faster than they thought they would be, especially by the end of the season. However, next year they're going to get slower again. They've raised the floor height effectively to reduce porpoising, so the FIA predicts that's going to cost the teams about half a second of lap time. Now, in fairness, compared to last year, the cars are already more advanced with their aero technology than they were last year. By the end of this season, they will be even further advanced, so I don't think we're going to see a drastic difference compared to last year to this year, but nonetheless, more than likely this year's cars will start off maybe slightly slower than they were at the end of last season for sure. And one of the teams trying to gain that time back is going to be Ferrari. Now, we believe that they are going to stick with their concept going forward. It's still going to look like the F175, probably still going to be a very pretty car as Ferrari like to deliver. So probably the same voluptuous side pods and all the same ideas, but there's some key differences they want to change. The gearbox being one we talked about yesterday because the gearbox was causing them issues off the start. Alfa Romeo certainly suffered with those issues with that Ferrari gearbox, and even the Ferrari drivers, Sainz as well, had a few difficult starts, I think partly caused at least by the gearbox issues. They're changing some things around with the gearbox, with the kind of the way that works, but also it was the tyre degradation at the end of last season. It seems like since the French Grand Prix update that Ferrari brought in, it changed the balance of the car. I believe believe what they think is that the French Grand Prix update increased the downforce, but did so not in a linear fashion, such that the tyres were getting worn significantly. We saw pretty much all races to the end of the season, they had significantly worse tyre wear than the Red Bull, and certainly than the Mercedes, and the car was fast in qualifying, but they could never come anywhere close to matching Red Bull in the race because their tyres would fall off a cliff whenever they decided to push. Leclerc had a different idea, and he said, oh, you know, it's not the car that's gone wrong, it's more that the car's slowed down compared to Red Bull, therefore we have to push harder, therefore we destroy the tyres, but they believe that there's more to come in that front. So therefore Ferrari seem to be focused on reducing the weight. Now this is a discussion about Red Bull, the fact that at the start of last season Red Bull were significantly overweight, they brought their car down in weight quite significantly. The 796 kilogram, I believe, weight limit, that's the minimum weight limit the car can be. It can't be any lower than that, it can only be higher than that, but of course you want it to be on the money. Alfa Romeo last season launched with a car pretty much on that number. Red Bull were overweight, Mercedes were certainly overweight, as were Ferrari maybe slightly, but not as much as the other teams. So Red Bull have produced a new lightweight chassis that's apparently under 3 kilograms or 3 kilograms lighter than the championship winning RB18, and maybe Ferrari are going to do something similar. Sources are suggesting here that Ferrari have also made good gains in this area, reducing the weight of their car. Funny thing is, we thought last season Ferrari were relatively close, if not on the weight limit, but you know, with so many other things to develop under the difficult cost cap for the first season, weight was not an absolute top priority, but it is for most teams going into this season. So the Red Bull's going to be lighter, maybe near the weight limit. The Ferrari is now going to be there as well, and that might, you know, counteract some of Red Bull's advantages going into the new season. Of course, every gram saved is a, well, fraction of a second, a small fraction of a second in that case, faster, but also does mean they can add some ballast in the car to increase the balance if necessary. That seemingly was the issue causing their tyre life conundrums at the end of last season. So I think that's the key issue for Ferrari to solve. Their car was fast all season long, but in race pace towards the end, after the French update really, their tyre life was so bad that they just got torched in all the Grand Prix, in addition to the strategy and other factors which didn't help their case either. So that's what Ferrari believe is going to take them in the right direction. That is seemingly one of the key upgrades they're going to try and bring. What does it equate to in terms of lap time? As I said, about half a second slower all the cars might be next season anyway. They might gain 1/10 back from this in terms of one lap pace, but they'll gain plenty of tenths per lap back if it can actually help their tyre life, which was a key issue from last season. And theoretically, lighter car means better tyre life in general. Obviously, it's not just the tyre life that were affecting Ferrari last season. Their engine components were also a problem. We know that their engine might be able to unlock an extra 30 horsepower next year, with they apparently have solved their reliability problems. And this I thought was kind of crazy. The limit for power unit components last year was exceeded 137 times. I'm sure a large percentage of those were by Ferrari powertrains, but yeah, maybe this year will be a different story, or maybe it will be the same, because yet again we find ourselves in a situation where the Ferrari hopium pre-season is looking rather good. There's all this optimism coming out. The car's going to be lighter, the engine's going to be faster, it's going to have the same feel, but it's going to be better. So will Ferrari let us down again? I suppose we'll see. And also just one thing that won't really affect Ferrari too much, but worthy of note, that they had two sponsors, Velas and Snapdragon, that I'm guessing this is like some crypto thing, or I think some NFT thing here for Velas, or whatever exactly that's called, and those have fallen through either because Ferrari didn't hold up their end of the deal, or because Snapdragon didn't hold up their end of the deal. But nonetheless, that's $55 million down the drain, which might be important, but I'm sure Ferrari can handle it. And also another one bites the dust here from Alpha Tauri, with Phantom, another crypto company, also getting dropped from their list of partners. So yeah, many teams, I'm sure they won't struggle financially, but I did mention this even maybe a month or so ago now, the fact that there's plenty of these sponsors that remind me a little bit of the kind of tobacco sponsors of back in the day that you know, are going to get phased out at some point, not just because of regulations, but maybe because of the industry's own doing. And also yesterday we discussed the potential of Andretti joining Formula 1 as a new 11th team. Apparently Andretti is not the only team interested though. There was that Hong Kong, I think, billionaire that we talked about the other day as well, that also wants a Formula 1 team, but also Panthera, whoever exactly they are ready to express their interest in Formula 1. They were interested apparently back in 2020, and their TP has revealed that this intent has not gone away. So ever since Mohammed Ben Sulayem put out that tweet, and I'm sure it wasn't just a tweet, he actually did some real stuff behind the scenes to say that the FIA is kind of taking on applications for new Formula 1 teams, all these guys are coming out the woodwork to try and get their application through. Basically, I think what these teams will have to do to make it work is we'll have to partner with one of these big engine manufacturers, whether that's a Porsche, whether that's a Ford, whether Whether that's a Hyundai, I don't know. Like, there's some possibilities there, but I think that's going to be the way to go for these teams if they want the other teams to actually accept them joining the sport, and therefore the other teams feel like they're getting more in return than what they would lose in their dilution, as Toto Wolff discussed yesterday, from bringing a new team in, and also the risk that the team is pretty good and it beats people in the championship. So lots of hoops to still jump through, lots of red tape to get through, but yeah, there is no shortage of interest in joining Formula 1. Whether they can make that happen, obviously not for next year, maybe for the year after could be possible. And one final note here from Liam Lawson, looking for a 2024 F1 seat. He's basically been the star of the Red Bull Academy lately. He's actually moving from Formula 2 to Super Formula, so he effectively says, when I go to F1, I want to be as ready as possible. So not if I go to F1, but when I go to F1, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Alpha Tauri seat of either Tsunoda or Nick de Vries is up for grabs. If, let's say, a guy like Ayumi Iwasa, who's also a Formula 2 guy for Red Bull, doesn't have a phenomenal season, then probably Lawson will get that seat in 2024, I would think. That seems likely. Or he just steps straight into the Red Bull, depending on what's going on there with Sergio Perez. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.